One of the worst days in school was when I had to dress as an English kid. I have a few stories of school. So let's get the context here. I went to Westview School Corporation, which up until the 8th grade, half of the students, if maybe not more now, but when I was going there, half of the students were Amish and the other half were not Amish. This is a public school. And after the 8th grade, all the Amish dropped out and it was just non-Amish kids. Now there are a few athletes who are Amish who are continuing on through high school so they can play basketball or cross country and stuff like that. The first kindergarten through 4th grade, we went to Shipshewana Scott, right there in Shipshewana, Indiana. And then after that, we would get bused. We would drop the kids off there. We would get bused to the middle school, which is in Emma, and that's 5th and 6th grade. And then after that, we would jump over to the high school, which is right next door to do 8th and 9th grade. We, in the 5th grade, when I entered the 5th grade, I had a teacher. His name was Mr. Miller, Kevin Miller. He was a fun teacher. He was one of my favorites. Mr. Miller was a, oh, that reminds me of another story. How many stories do you guys want? Mr. Miller was a big IU basketball fan. Big IU basketball fan. I think that's the only clothes he ever wore was IU. Anyway, so basketball was life. We were trading, playing cards, it was basketball everything. Indiana is the basketball state. Us boys, we played, that's all we played on recess and free times. We played basketball after church when we got together with cousins and stuff. It was basketball. I don't remember how it started. I was always a little artsy as well. Art comes natural to me, more natural to me than anything else. It's the thing I do least of, which sucks. I need to do more art. But I liked the Michigan logo. For some reason, everybody was an IU fan, right? Indiana University IU fan. Their basketball program was good. And for some reason, I wanted to be different. And one thing to remember is I was a kid. All through school, I was very insecure. And very insecure. And I didn't like doing things that would gain attention, that would get me attention. However, for some reason, I liked drawing, and I liked making the Michigan logo. I thought the Michigan logo was cooler than the IU logo. And one reason was because everybody else liked IU, and I just wanted to be different, I guess. Maybe that's just my whole life. I just want to be different. I challenge, maybe not so much different, but I challenge group thought. A lot of times when everybody's on the same page, there's no growth or something. I don't know. But long story short, I like the Michigan logo. So I was kind of a Michigan fan. I had no idea. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't really follow. I didn't know any of the players. Didn't matter. But there was another kid in class. His name was Corey Pelletier. And he was a Michigan fan. He had a TV. He could watch the games. He knew way more than I did. So the time came where Michigan played IU in basketball. And Mr. Miller decided it's time for a bet. He told us, me and Corey, if Michigan wins, he will wear a Michigan shirt for the next day, for the whole day. But if IU wins, we have to wear an IU shirt for the next day. And I went along with the bet, not thinking much about it, not thinking that how humiliating this would be, or that he would even follow through with me, that I figured maybe he would shrug it off. Because here's this Amish kid with Amish pants, barn door pants, you open them, um, and a button shirt. We always had to wear the button shirts, usually homemade back then. Well, IU won, Michigan lost. So in comes Mr. Miller with 2 IU t-shirts. Way too big for us, but we had to wear them. Corey wore his IU shirt, and here I am, this Amish kid, with an IU t-shirt over my other shirts. And all day long, my class, the class I was in, understood. What they knew about the bet. But the other 4 or 5 classes of 25 kids each uh, didn't. And when I went to lunch, when I went to recess, when I went anywhere, every Amish kid was staring at me. It was dreadful. I I wanted to die. I didn't, we all had lunch together, the 5th grade, and we went out there, and there I am, wearing an English shirt, a t-shirt. It was embarrassing. And then I had to tell him I lost the bet. It was just embarrassing. I didn't care about the losing. I did not want to wear. I did not like sticking out in a crowd like that. And people were, a few of them came up and asked me, why am I wearing this t-shirt? A lot of the girls and other boys just kept looking at me like, staring at me like, what the? Yeah. It was horrifying. It doesn't seem like much now, but back then it was horrifying. Me as a little Amish kid who would have a stuffed nose but be way too shy to stand up and go get a Kleenex in class and blow my nose. Yeah. In that class too, one time Mr. Miller had to step out and talk to another teacher. And I found that the perfect time to wad up a piece of paper I needed to throw away, take it up to the trash can next to the teacher's desk, and do an under the leg slam dunk with it. Why? Why? I don't know. But it just seemed like apparently I just needed to do that. Well, what happened is when I did that, my head came down and met with the edge of the teacher's desk and put a cut right above my eye. I don't know if there's still a scar there or not. Probably not. So now I have blood dripping down my face. And and it's running down my face. So I go outside, I open the door, I go, oh man, he's out there talking to another teacher. I don't like interrupting people when they're having conversation. So I open the door, I go out there, and I'm I'm going like this, catching the blood on it, Mr. Miller, and his back was turned to me, and he just said, not right now. And so I just stood there. I just stood there for a couple minutes until I don't know, a couple minutes. It seemed like a couple minutes, 30 seconds or whatever, for a while, until the other teacher noticed that, whoa. And she's like, hey, you need to take care of that. And he turned around. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, whatever, and sent me to the nurse. While we're on the topic of dress, in the 4th grade, there was this snobby girl. She was an Amish girl, and she was probably really nice. I'm sure yeah, but man, she just came off as snobby back then. And it must have been around Halloween where the snobby girl, she could stare. There was a family line that could just stare. Like they would, I don't know what the deal was with it. The neighbors to our north, that's where our phone shack was, and we hated. Like we would have to go 3/4 of a mile to the phone, mile maybe, to use a phone at quarters. You put quarters in and you dial the number and you call your cousin and leave them a message or hopefully get a hold of them or something. Well, we hated going there because when we passed our neighbors' houses, this family clan kind of, they would all come out. They would stare. They would run to the windows. We could see them peeping out of the windows. If they were in the field, they would stop what they're doing and they would stare. Oh, we hated it. Anyway, this girl, this snobby girl, let's call her the snob, she didn't live close to us, but she was related. She was in the same family relations. And maybe that's where she got it. I don't know. But it must have been close to Halloween because it was probably a Friday morning. So we were allowed to, the teacher encouraged us to dress up in Halloween costumes if we wanted. If we wanted to. We didn't have to. Well, that morning, that day, I wanted to dress up, and my mom, she's always trying to have make things fun for us. So she said I could go. She was like, "Well, I'll go as a scarecrow. I think the scarecrow from Wizard of Oz or something." And so I did. I dressed up that morning. I put on an old pair of pants with the suspenders, and it had like patches on the knees. So yeah, patches on the knees. I wore a shirt that was older too, and then I had a straw hat and a wooden stick. Um, and went to school. Now, had it been a normal school morning, everything would have been all right. However, it of course my luck, the bus broke down on the way to school. The bus broke down, so we had to wait for another bus to come pick us up. So now here we are a couple hours late, hour or two late. And I'm like, oh my gosh, well, I can't. When I walk into class, everybody's going to be seated, and all attention's going to be on me. I did not want that. There was no, so I somehow, I don't remember how, but I ditched the stick and the straw hat. I'm like, I'm not going to come in there in a costume and everybody look at me and judge my costume. Fourth grade. Well, I did cleverly do that. However, all day I sat there in class and on recess with these pants that had patches on them. And as an Amish family here in northern Indiana, the northern Indiana community, everybody's a little bit more prissy. You don't send your kids to school with holes in their pants or patches. But here I sat, and this snobby girl, all day long, she kept looking at me and looking at my pants, my knees, my patches, all day long. Like she just, I don't know if she was trying to figure it out all day or like, what the heck, and oh man. I didn't like it. I didn't like the attention. And it just, of course, the one day I decided to dress up, the one day, and I think that was probably the only time ever in my school history that I dressed up. But that one day that I did, had the courage to do something like that, the bus has to break down and ruin it all. That has been my life story. Did you guys ever? I had the dreams and nightmares of going to church or going to school in my underwear. I'm watching the squirrels out here. They're busy collecting walnuts. Yeah, I had nightmares of going to church and going to school in my underwear. And I would have this big box of clothes, just dragging the big box of clothes around. But I wouldn't put them on, and there's people around me making fun of me and laughing at me and pointing at me and making fun of me. And I would drag my box of clothes around, still in my underwear, completely embarrassed and humiliated. What drives dreams like that? I don't understand it. Those are no more, but that was some childhood nightmares. Those, and then that one, and then being chased by a bull. I would be chased by bulls who, I'd be on a farm. Obviously, we'd go to people's houses for church and stuff, and then the farmers, they would have cows and a bull. And for some reason, the bulls scared me. And in my dreams, I'd be running from the bull across the fence. I'd run into the barn and slam the door behind me, and he'd come crashing through that door, and I'd go into another part of the barn and close the gate behind me, and he'd come running through there, and I'd go up in the hay mow thinking I'm safe. Nope, here he comes up through the hay mow, and I would get into smaller and smaller rooms, and then when I couldn't get into a smaller room and close the door behind me, and I could hear him coming, and he'd come crashing through, that's when I'd wake up. But I'd like to hear some of your embarrassing moments. Just put those in the comments below. I'm CJ, here for your entertainment purposes. This is the Amish Potato. We'll see you next time.